Okay, I think we're live. All right, we are now streaming live on Facebook according to my screen. So today's topic is when you become too focused on what's going on around you, you lose touch with what's actually going on inside you. And the idea for today's topic actually came to me. Sorry, I just came in from a run. Actually came to me when I was out on a walk last night. And I had already done my workout of the day. You know, I had already done my early morning cardio. I'm in training now for my pro debut in bodybuilding. We got a date in July. So I had already done my morning exercise. I had already done my lifting. I have a gym at home. So I'll get into a little bit in a couple of minutes of why I actually went out on that hike and then what happened as a result and why it's important for you. Like, why am I sharing this? This is a really important message that I believe everybody needs to hear right now. And my intent is that you take the 4 things that I share with you about why this is so important and how you stand to lose if you don't start tuning out more of what's going on outside you and start tuning more into what's going on inside. My intent is that you take those 4 things that I'm sharing with you, they really resonate with you, and you use them to really focus on what's important right now, which is you. So really quickly, I'm going to get back into that in a minute, but I want to thank those of you who took the survey here inside of the Facebook group about what the most beneficial training is that I can bring to you right now during this quarantine time, because there's no sense in me putting something together that's not going to support you immediately. So those of you who are really smart about using this quarantine time to actually get the things done that you had been putting off before, because trust me, if you don't do it now, you're probably kidding yourself that you ever will. So those of you who took the survey, thank you. Along with those who took the survey through my email, I got really great feedback on what you guys want. And it's really exciting. I'm sending out that offer to you today by email. You're going to get 2 trainings that I'm really excited about practically for free, as well as automatic entry for a 2-day all-inclusive, paid for, all expenses paid for except travel, to my 2-day peak performance retreat in October. So I'm really excited to be able to enter you automatically into that drawing that we're taking this month. That's a $3,500 value. So I'm super excited about that. If you didn't take the survey and you want to take it, or you're intrigued about what it is, you can see it in the pinned posts, or I think it's called announcements now, and or just send me a message on Facebook and say, hey, I'm interested. Can you send that email to me too, so I can see what it is and make a decision? Because we're getting started next week. Okay, so let me get back to where this topic came from. And as you come on, please let me know you're here. Say hi, interact in the thread, throw up some likes. Just come on, man, hang out with me, talk to me. You're in High Performer Lifestyle. I always say this. If you're a true high performer, you don't sit back and just observe. You get in the game. That means you get in the conversations. You interact in the groups that you're in, and you make yourself seen. You make yourself known. So I want to see you. I want to know you. Okay, so I live in Washington State now, and we live in an area that is super hilly, right? We have a lot of hills. I grew up in a state that's flat, probably one of the flattest, Delaware, first state. So many people are like, Delaware, tiny little state, but it's the first state. Anyway, I live now in Washington State, and it's full of hills. So yesterday, towards the end of the evening, like I said, I had already done my early morning cardio. And listen, because I want to know if you feel like this, or have you ever felt like this? So I've been working out. I've been staying on my training. I work out pretty hard, probably 2 times a day now as I'm getting closer to my competition date. So I have my home gym. I have all of that. So all of a sudden, I just started to feel like I need to be outside. And if you're anything like me, being out in nature is very therapeutic for you. It clears your mind. It's very grounding, and especially moving in nature. For me, it's always been, getting out and walking, getting out and doing a really vigorous or rigorous hike. For some people, it's swimming, it's riding a bike. My husband, it's surfing or sailing, anything on the water, right? And I was feeling in the last week or so, right? We're in quarantine, even though we can walk around and do things like that. I've been feeling kind of cluttered, right? I don't know if you've ever felt like this or if you're feeling like this now. And here's what I mean. It's like I'm getting things done. I'm being productive. I'm leading these amazing leaders. I'm doing trainings. I'm coaching. I'm working with my coach. I'm staying on my regimen. But there's been something a little heavy on my mind around some decisions. Nothing too major, but it's really strange for me. I'm typically very decisive, very clear. And I've been feeling this kind of heaviness. And I think that the quarantine has a lot to do with it, because for me personally, I haven't been outside in nature as much as I am used to. Even just the going to different places, right? So you're outside more. And we've had a lot of rain lately, which has kept me inside. So I really started to feel this desire, I just need to go. I need to run. I need to walk. I need to be outside. So just being physical in general for me helps me to burn energy and clear things and get clarity. But the missing piece for me was, I need to get outside. I need to get outside and do it. And as I got outside and started walking, I expected I was going to be taking a hike for 30 minutes, it ended up being an hour. And what it was is I started just light bulbs started going off, light bulbs of, yes, that got clear. And yes, that's the decision that I'm going to make. Oh, yes, that makes so much sense. I just started moving and everything started clearing up. Have you ever had that experience? I do often when I get out into nature. But what it reminded me of is, and here's the piece that I want to connect the dots with. If you have been feeling like you are looking to others for answers, if you have been feeling especially right now with the news and the doom and the gloom, I mean, there's a lot of positive stuff out there too, but anytime you turn on the news, it's just this bombarding of negativity, right? And whatever's going on in your personal life, some people are homeschooling for the first time ever, or, some people are dealing with depression right now because they're inside, and some people really need a lot more interaction than others. So if you've been feeling kind of heavy in your mind, if you've been feeling any anxiety, if you've been feeling any nervousness or not being sure of yourself, one of the biggest things that will help you, just like it did for me yesterday, and yesterday, on the walk, I got the clarity about sharing this message for you. That's why it's so important, is that one of the things that will help you bust through that cloud is to really start tuning out what's going on around you. Now, I feel like I took a long time to get to the point that I'm making here, but let me give you an example. When I started up a gym in my hometown in Rehoboth, Delaware, about 10 years ago. It was the first gym I had ever started. I started it from the ground up. I started in my garage. Then we grew to 2 more locations. I had a staff of 12, 13, 14 at one point. So we grew and I ended up selling that gym. It's still there and thriving and doing great. And here's why I'm sharing that with you. When I started, I really did not know anything about running a gym. I just loved to train. I loved to train people. I'd been doing it for a long time. I wanted to build something in our community. Here's the thing. There were probably 10 to 12 other gyms in a 1.5 mile radius where I lived, because we were in a beach town. So the information I got from other people was, do do market research, compare your pricing, price it competitively based on what everybody else is pricing it. Get out there and see what your competitors are doing, right? That's the traditional way, is to look at what others are doing, look at the market, right? And I never, ever did that. I never did that. And I still don't. I didn't do that with my online business. When I teach my clients, like for instance, one of my clients messaged me on Voxer just yesterday, and she was in a little bit of a panic because of something in her business, okay, that she saw somebody else doing. And I said to her exactly the way that I think and the way that I'm going to share with you right now. I said, I don't care. And you need to not care. Stop looking at what they're doing and focus on you. Because here's what happens when you start to give all your attention to what your competitors doing or other people are doing, you start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt yourself. So going back to this example with my business, with the gym, I never based my prices off of that. Are you guys with me here? I never based my prices, my programs, none of that on that. I based it off of what I believed could really support my clients, right? What the niche is, like who we really wanted to work with. And I based my pricing off of the service that we were providing and the level of training and quality and all of that. So we ended up being the highest priced gym in this 1.5 mile radius of like 10 plus gyms. And I was told over and over again, people aren't going to pay that price. People are going to go get the same thing right down the street. But I was very clear about my vision. I knew what the purpose of our specific group was, like my team, how we trained. I knew what was different about the level of quality that we were giving. And I knew I didn't want just a gym where people just signed up and came and dropped in and maybe never showed up again. I wanted to build lifelong relationships, lifestyle changes, right? We had a very community-oriented gym where, I mean, two couples ended up getting married in a couple of years that met at that gym. I mean, it was a very community-oriented. So long story short, my system worked. It was extremely different than all the other systems around me. And interestingly enough, within a couple of years, I saw other gyms starting to adopt what we were doing, right? They say that's kind of like flattery, right? It is. But the point is, if I had not trusted myself, if I had not tuned out all the outside noise in that business and what people were telling me to do, I would not have had that kind of success. And I wouldn't have been able to turn around and sell that business for an incredible profit, which was really unheard of in terms of selling that kind of gym. And so my point is, listen, you'll become influenced. We all do. We all become influenced by people that we learn from, by our coaches, our mentors. And that's just normal. However, we have to be careful. You have to be careful as a leader, as somebody who values integrity like I do. If you value authenticity, if you value honesty, uniqueness, creativity, we have to be careful that we are not adopting other people's beliefs, their systems, their thoughts as our own, unless they really are your own. Right? Unless they really are your own. And what happens when we're constantly looking for other people's approval, or we're constantly waiting for other people to give us permission to do something, or we're constantly asking and looking to what others think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Those things are fine, right? It's okay. Here's what I think. The most valuable reason to have a community, to belong to a group, to hire a coach is really for accountability. It's for accountability. A lot of people will hire a coach or join a mastermind. I've seen it because I've been a student in these kind of things for 16 plus years. And I've also held my own and managed people in groups, in masterminds, and have coached over 1,000 people now in this time. So I've seen it on both ends. The problem is most of the time people are coming into these situations and these relationships wanting the other person to tell them what to do. And I said this in a recent live here, but nobody can have your vision. Actually, I said this last week, right? Nobody can have your vision, right? So nobody had that vision that I had for my gym. I had to enroll my team in that vision, yet it still wasn't their vision. And even when I made some decisions around things that we were doing, they were afraid, oh my gosh, that might not work. I don't think that I would sign up for that or pay for that. But see, my vision, I knew the type of person that I wanted to work with and who I could most support. And what I had to at one point look at my team and say is like, you're not actually the ideal client for this. So you've got to know as the leader in your business, you've got to know as the leader in your life, right? Even when I go to my coach, my bodybuilding coach, I have the vision for me. He doesn't. He can help me get there, right? Because he's already achieved that version of he's already achieved his version of my vision, right? But nobody can have your vision. And so the more that you're looking to others and the more that you're taking in all this outside information, news, opinions, all of that from other people, like what happens is you become like a sheep instead of a wolf, right? You become like a sheep. You're just being herded around. And that is not the way to be a high performer. It's not the way to be a leader. It's not the way to get consistent, joyful 10x results in your life. It's just not. So here's what I want to say to you. Here's the 4 things that happen when you start to give more of your focus to what's going on around you instead of what's going on inside of you, right? Yesterday on that walk, it got so clear to me that that is the message that I need to be delivering to the leaders right now who are looking to me, right? Like to those of you who are watching this, to my clients, to myself, to my children. It's that message that you are wired with intuition. You know, I remember Oprah saying one time, and I actually read it again in a book recently, that she said all of the decisions that she made, all of the decisions that she's made in her life and in her businesses that have turned out to be great, what she calls good decisions, were based on her intuition. Even when, let's say, the data or the status quo or her advisors were saying this isn't the right thing. When she followed her intuition, her gut, we all have that intuition. Those are the times that everything turned out. And when things didn't, it was when she went against her intuition. That I can see that in my life everywhere, and I bet you can too. Right. And you know, I suggest you even look back at your life at those things. Where was it that you really regretted decisions that you made, or you realized that you could have gotten to that a lot sooner had you followed your intuition? So that's really what this message is about. And here's the 4 things that that it's costing you by spending all your time, you know, absorbing everything everybody else is doing on social media, you know, seeing what your competitors are doing, constantly watching the news, and right, like all the outside energy focused on everything and everyone else instead of right here. Number 1, you're wasting so much valuable time. You're really wasting time, right? The downside of focusing so much on what everyone else is doing is, you know, you're not doing what you need to be doing. Right? So how much time and energy, like when I think about that business in particular, and even this online business that I built, did I go and get direction on certain systems and things? Yes, because you don't need to recreate the wheel for certain things, like in terms of systemizing and having proven methods to follow. I teach that as well. However, one of the things that I noticed, even in these higher level groups that I was in, is that so few people were doing their thing. People were becoming carbon copies I still see it all the time of the other people that are in their group. You've got to be really careful of that. And that comes from knowing yourself. And a lot of people also I see just paralyzed with indecision and fear. And that comes from gathering so much information, more research, following this person, that person, a little bit from here, a little bit. It's like scattered energy when really you need to reel it all in and focus deep and narrow on what it is that you do. What's your purpose? Then you can become productive with it, right? In fact, that's pretty much the theme of what I'm teaching this month in our trainings, right? Is going from your purpose to being productive, right? How can you be productive with your purpose? But you have got to be spending enough time on you, with you, inside of you, so that you can get that clarity. So number one, what it's doing is it's wasting your time. Number two, it's killing your creativity. It's killing your creativity. Like I said, you just become a sheep instead of a wolf. We talk about in my high performers club how putting all these daily systems, not long to-do lists or anything like that, like learning how to be productive and efficient in your day and in your week, the habits that we set up, what that does is it actually relieves you so that you can have the creative energy to really work your craft. None of what I teach in my high performers club to my high performing entrepreneurs and leaders has anything to do with go gather more information, go research this, go watch this. No, it's about bringing each one of us back to who we already are and what we already have inside us, right? So it kills your creativity. Number three is it dulls your instincts. It dulls your instincts. You start to ignore your intuition when you're focused on everybody else, right? You start to weaken that natural instinct that you have for what it is that you're good at, what it is you're meant to do, how you should be making decisions. If you've been stuck in indecision, that means that you are giving your power away. You're giving your power away. And more often than not, you're looking for other people to give you enough information that it's going to make you feel like the decision you make is going to be perfect and it can't fail, right? But do you see how that's trusting other people? It's trusting other information instead of trusting your instinct, instead of trusting that any decision that you make, because you're so strong in your purpose, in your vision, in your mindset. These are all things that you really need at the end of the day, because none of the other tactics are going to matter. But trusting yourself so much that you know you can rely on your instinct, that no matter what comes of it, you'll be able to make the adjustments right on the spot, right? It's like being a parent, right? It's the instinct to take care, to do what's needed when your child is sick, or when you're helping them in the moment, right? You don't just wait to figure out, like, I need all the information before I make a decision. It doesn't mean that all your decisions are perfect and you don't course correct, but that's how you build you sharpen your instinct tool as a parent, by actually doing it, right? By actually trusting yourself, not calling 10 mothers before you make a decision, right? So we're talking about sharpening what you already have inside. God birthed you with instincts, right? We are animals, just like our pets that we see. They have a natural instinct, right? And then 4, what happens, what it's costing you is you stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting yourself when you are out there collecting information from everybody else. Don't become a carbon copy of other people. Be you. Nobody can be you. This is what I told Jill. Jill, yesterday, a client of mine, when she was, worried about something that was going on. Listen, the truth is, so many of us are teaching the same thing, only you can teach it your way, right? And you're always going to have other people who are doing something that you're doing or something similar. tune out everybody else and tune in to you, right? My suggestion is right now, if you are struggling at all with feeling unclear, with feeling indecisive, with feeling like you know you need to do something but you haven't, my suggestion is tune out as much as possible everything else around you and everyone else around you. Tune out as much of what's going on out there and start to tune in to what's going on inside of you. Okay. If you need help with that, message me. This is something that I help people with all the time. It's part of the training. One of the trainings that I'm doing this month that I told you about earlier, we are here for you. You need people in your corner, but most importantly, you need to trust yourself. I hope this message supported you. Please let me know in the comments if it did, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.